Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American history. We're going to explore the story of the very first guns used by the United States military. We'll answer three key questions: which gun was it, when did it first appear, and who was responsible for making it. To get to the bottom of this, we need to travel back in time, way back, to a period before the United States was even officially a country. The story of American military firearms really begins during the American Revolutionary War, a time when the 13 colonies were locked in a desperate struggle for independence from Great Britain. Before the war kicked off in 1775, the concept of a U.S. military simply didn't exist. The American colonies were under British rule. The firearms you find here were mostly in the hands of everyday people: farmers who needed to protect their land and livestock, hunters who relied on their muskets to put food on the table, and local militias formed for community defense. These weren't standardized military weapons, they were personal firearms, a mix of different types and calibers, used primarily for hunting and self-defense. So when the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired in April 1775, the newly formed Continental Army faced a massive problem. They needed to arm thousands of soldiers, but they had no national gun factories, no established national army, and certainly no official, standardized military weapon. Their opponent, the British Army, was the most powerful military force in the world, equipped with the standardized Brown Bess musket. The Americans, on the other hand, had a collection of whatever they could get their hands on. This lack of standardization was a logistical nightmare. Imagine being on the battlefield. Your musket uses a .69 caliber ball, but the soldier next to you has a .75 caliber one, and another has a completely different type. When you run out of ammunition, you can't just borrow from your comrade. Every soldier needed specific ammunition for their specific gun. This made supplying the army incredibly difficult and inefficient. So, the Continental Congress knew they had to do something. Their first solution was to look abroad. They turned to France, which was a rival of Great Britain and sympathetic to the American cause. The French had a fantastic military musket, the Charleville Model 1763. It was a .69 caliber flintlock musket, well-made, reliable, and available in large quantities. Starting in 1777, tens of thousands of these French Charleville muskets began secretly flowing into the colonies. They were a game-changer for the Continental Army. For the first time, American soldiers started to be equipped with a standardized high-quality military firearm. This greatly improved their effectiveness on the battlefield. So, in a way, you could argue that the French Charleville was the first *de facto *standard musket of the U.S. military, even though it wasn't made in America. But the American leaders, including George Washington, knew that relying on a foreign power for weapons was a risky long-term strategy. What if the supply line was cut off? They needed their own domestic source of firearms. This led to the establishment of the first National Armory in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1777. Initially, the Springfield Armory wasn't manufacturing new guns from scratch. Its main job was to repair existing firearms, store weapons and ammunition, and try to create some order out of the chaos of different gun types. Craftsmen at Springfield would take parts from damaged muskets, both American and captured British ones, and try to assemble functional weapons. This was a crucial step, but it wasn't true domestic production yet. The real breakthrough came after the Revolutionary War ended. With independence won, the new United States government recognized the critical need for a domestically produced, standardized military firearm. They didn't want to be caught unprepared ever again. Drawing heavily on the design of the French Charleville musket that had served them so well during the war, the engineers and gunsmiths at the Springfield Armory went to work. They took the best features of the Charleville, made some improvements, and adapted it for American manufacturing techniques. The result was the United States musket, Model 1795. This is the answer to our big question. The Model 1795, produced at the Springfield Armory, was the very first official, standardized musket manufactured by and for the United States military. The man who oversaw this monumental effort was David Ames, the first superintendent of the Springfield Armory. While many gunsmiths and workers contributed, it was under Ames's leadership that the production of the Model 1795 began. A second national armory was also established at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, now West Virginia, in 1799, and it began producing the Model 1795 musket. The Model 1795 was a .69 caliber flintlock smoothbore musket, just like its French predecessor. It was about 60 inches long and weighed around 10 pounds. A soldier could, with training, fire about 3 rounds per minute. It was the standard infantry weapon for the U.S. Army for nearly 2 decades. It saw service in numerous conflicts, including the Whiskey Rebellion, the Quasi War with France, and most famously, the War of 1812. The creation of the Model 1795 was a landmark moment. It marked America's industrial independence. The nation was no longer reliant on foreign powers for its primary military equipment. It showed that the young country had the skill, the resources, and the will to provide for its own defense. The Springfield Armory and the Harper's Ferry Armory became centers of innovation, pioneering mass production techniques that would later fuel America's Industrial Revolution. So, let's recap our 3 questions. Which gun was the first used by the US military? While the French Charleville was the first standardized musket used in large numbers, the first official US-made military musket was the Model 1795. When did it appear? Production began in 1795. And who made it? It was a collective effort, but it was produced by the United States government at the National Armories in Springfield and Harper's Ferry. The story of the Model 1795 isn't just about a gun. It's about the birth of a nation's industry and its military self-sufficiency. It's a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the early Americans who built a country from the ground up, from a disorganized collection of personal firearms to a domestically produced, standardized military weapon. This journey reflects the very evolution of the United States itself. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical deep dive today. I hope you found it as interesting as I did. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you in the next one.